Ready to roll. We are fast and firm on this Thursday afternoon, a twilight Thursday, August 23rd here at Gulfstream Park. Jason Blewett, Pete Aiello alongside as we settle in for our penultimate twilight Thursday of the summer here, my friend. Last week, or I should say next week, is the last week.
Hard to imagine Labor Day is just around the corner. We had some good opinions yesterday. Of course, you beat me again. I can't win a heads-up wager with you to save my life.
It is funny, though. I had a chuckle. Pete and I had a horse for horse, just straight up goofing around, a bet essentially for $1. We'll hopefully continue that today, my friend. It's 1-0 this week. But it was Richie's sister against Love Flute, and you and I were in a very close photo for
what,
maybe eighth or ninth in that race. So very typical, right?
Well, I figured once she got tired, I figured I had to pass you, but it just wasn't to be.
Well, we'll get some more of that this afternoon, as we do have 10 races to go around. There's plenty of racing today at Gulfstream, already August 23rd. And as Pete was saying, Labor Day's right around the corner. Guinevere in the Woodward, and of course Saturday, Travers Day up north at Saratoga. Now, a couple of carryover pools to get to at the top of this live edition of Gulfstream today, including we nearly have a G-note waiting for you in that super high five, $847, the carryover, and that coincides with the 50-cent early pick five at the start of Thursday's card. $82,000 plus in the Rainbow Six. Nobody was alive, Pete, going into the nightcap yesterday, and full circle, as we always do, second half of this card, very much devoted to the late pick five, which gets underway in the sixth race.
Isn't it interesting that on the top of this telecast yesterday, I said that the Rainbow Six was definitely a sequence that was going to be almost impossible to take the jackpot pool.
Sure.
And I went the complete opposite, where there was nobody who had six instead of 300 or 400 people who had six, which is what I would have predicted at the start of the day.
Very rare, not unprecedented, but rare to go into a finale, in this case the ninth yesterday, having 0 live tickets alive, or combinations alive, if you will. But we'll see what today holds, a new day. And again, we are fast and firm. The weather's delightful. Again, we get that nice breeze off the beach and the Atlantic Ocean. And how about you breezing home with the nice little winner in this early pick five?
Well, we started the day off on a positive note and speed, and then stopped yesterday. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more stick to our ticket here this afternoon. We're going to try to get alive in the first leg with the 2, 3, 4, and 7. I think that covers it. I'm trying to beat the 7R Paper Chaser. I like a long shot in this race. More on that momentarily. In the second race, the 2 Coal Miner's Son and the 4 Golden Cantharls. The best speed with the best closer. Sounds like a good combination to me. The third race just flat out confuses me, so I'll punch the all button. In the fourth race, you and I both agreed off camera that Apostle, who is rumored to be training very well, looks the horse to beat in there, so we'll single there. And then we'll go 2 deep in the fifth race. Possible single in that race also after scratches, but I won't do it. I'll use 2 Bright Venezuelan and the likely odds-on choice in number 7, Dalanega,
who now catches a 4-horse field after scratches. Do note, and obviously Pete will be up with the scratches and changes when we sign off at about 1:30, give or take. There are quite a few defections during the second half of this card, and very much the fifth, a different race than what was drawn a few days ago. But we've got a first race, Pete, very much still intact as we start the day on the firm turf, going 5 furlongs with this 3-and-up filly mare, $16,000 turf sprint claiming race. And they probably, and I'll say it loosely, because I'm not sure if the 7R Paper Chaser will go favored over the 3 Baranda. I think it's going to be pretty close. Like you, I am not really sold on our Paper Chaser, and clearly you're not sold on my horse, the 3 Baranda, who the more I looked around, and will show you her last race back on July 20th, I don't think she has a heck of a lot to beat in this race, and I do like that she's come to hand in a major way, sprinting 5 furlongs on the turf. Now, Victor Barboza Jr., who's got this horse off the claim today, this is more or less something, and I mean claiming and running horses off the claim on the turf. This is a category he has not done all that much. He hasn't had any success at 0 for 8, and this is his first horse that he's claimed, coming in off a maiden victory. But still a good effort, aesthetically speaking, last time out with the 3 Baranda. I'm going to take her over the number 6, a drop down in Bird of Peace.
Well, Bird of Peace is a horse who definitely is an intriguing proposition. There's a lot of different intriguing propositions in here, but I like a bomb, and I like the 4, Erotic Kiss. And the reason I like number 4, Erotic Kiss, is very simple. Her last race is a complete throwout and a bit of a deceptive move there. The turf course was rated as firm last time out, but it was not. I mean, it had a lot of give in it. I'm just being honest about it. And number 4, Erotic Kiss, didn't care for that. And there's some other horses in here who maybe did, like the 7R Paper Chaser. I think she moved up on that course last time out. I throw the 4's last race out. I focus on her race 2 starts ago. She lost to a repeat winner who has a big chance in race 5 today, and I figure she does have enough speed to be close, if not cutting the pace, in this race. I didn't see a ton of speed in here, Jay.
No, that's a very good point. Perhaps you get a little early foot from Miranda, but this is not a race where you have those tried and true 5/8 monsters from the gate. So some good points there. And you've been pretty good at coming up with prices in these 5/8 turf dashes. We'll see if you got it here with Erotic Kiss, my friend.
Well, I think the turf course will be a little more kind to speed than it has been. That's just a theory, but we'll see if it works out. Erotic Kiss is a definite use if you're playing pick 3s or pick 5s.
All right, sounds good. She can't help but be a price in the first. Thursday second as we hit the main. Main, of course, listed as fast. The sun shining. Really nice day in Hallandale Beach as we have this 6250 beaten 3-and-up claiming race. We go with a field of 8. I'm going to take a shot here in a race I wasn't sold on any of the shorter price contenders on the 8 Dark as Midnight, who may pull a good trip, perched right off the speeds in the number 4 Golden Cantharos, and maybe you get some early foot on the dirt from the 7 Command Peter. And this horse does have some races. Pace figures I use have Command Peter right up there. In fact, I mean, this is a horse who's stretching out in distance, my friend, at 6.5 furlongs.
I'm more marveling at Dark as Midnight on top.
I don't think this horse
You look at the wrong race? Or?
No, I don't think this horse is such a crazy stab. I mean, this is a horse who going a demanding 7/8 off the layoff in April, albeit against 2 lifetime claimers at Tampa. Now, I'll be the first to admit, you know that horse population much better than I do. But won by daylight, the race this horse is coming out of, and it's not like, yeah, he was outrun late. At least he was in the game early on. Those horses, I mean, that's like a grade 1 stake compared to this field.
I don't know about all that, but then again, not 1 but 2 times yesterday, you had me completely fooled. You picked Pray, Pray, Pray yesterday. It was a great pick. That horse looked terrible on form. I still don't know how she won, and that was a $10 mutual. Then you got a $14 mutual on Strong Composition, who I was 100% wrong about.
Right, yep.
So yep. I need to back off here a little bit, but I should never begrudge anybody for picking prices, but I think you might be reaching a little bit.
And this horse has got races on the go back to an extent up in the Big Apple, even during the winter time at the now defunct Inner Track. I don't think he's, given the fact he's going to be an okay price and he's going to pull a good trip, I think this is a perfect spot for him to make some noise for 6250.
I'm not arguing against the horse 10-1 on the morning line. I will tell you this, I like the 2 Coal Miner's Son here at quite less of a price than that. Cutting back from a 1-mile trip last time out, I don't think you really wanted to go that far. Monty Thomas is trying to get this horse back into the form that he showed when he was a 2-year-old. He was really good as a 2-year-old. He has not translated that into his 3-year-old campaign. There's been some excuses for him. They've kind of been trying things out, but his race 2 starts ago against similar horses was very, very good. I think Golden Cantharos is strictly the speed in here. I don't know if he wants to go this far, though, but Kevin Carmona did have an upset winner yesterday. You threw Golden Cantharos out. You must not think he can go this far.
I don't think he could stay 6.5 furlongs, to be honest with you, and do keep in mind he was just all out to win at 1-5 at a race he was ultimately disqualified from Gilberto Zerpa. Gilberto had him at the time, a former horse, little questionable at the distance, who's no longer Zerpa. Gonna let that horse beat me.
I'm not gonna argue, but I will ask you this.
Yeah.
You were bullish, and quite bullish, in fact, on Dreamy Martini last time out. Didn't run bad, didn't run great.
And didn't get bet. I told, that was a race, and I said it on the air. Every now and then you'll look at a race and you think, all right, I've got the 2 main players here, or in this case, the single main player in Dreamy Martini. I thought he'd be around 5-2. He was nowhere near that. It was a race I just completely mishandicapped.
Well, I mean, but he does, he's kind of a tease because he looks like he should be part of it every time he runs.
Sure.
We both have him on the fringe here. This race has got some depth to it. I mean, there's a lot of different opinions on those screens.
Yeah, which is what I like. And you know what? It spices up these 6250 claimers on the dirt for sure.
It's been role reversal lately, though. You're picking against favorites that I think are good, and I'm picking against favorites you think are good.
And so I had a chuckle because, as I even said during the prattle yesterday, I've never met a 2-5 shot I didn't like. But seeing Sammy Sunshine get cut down and blown by Whip Me Into Shape was made me feel pretty good.
You didn't like the 5, though. You even sold me on the 3. We shouldn't go in this on live TV, but
she ran a big race, didn't she? She was on the picture on the TV screen for about a furlong and a half. Anyway, the third race, there's some guesswork to go around as we bring on these 2-year-old colts, no doubt, in this 35K maiden claimer. Cut back to 5.5 on the dirt. 5 firsters, only 1 in this field of a half a dozen. The outside horse, the number 6, Our Pride, has raced before, and in a race like this, I think you're looking at connections, of course, and to a lesser extent pedigrees. But in terms of just landing on a connections play, Kathleen O'Connell, the trainer of record with the number 3, No Choice. Kathleen's terrific. She is a winner, and of course, she's done really well with her 2-year-old firsters on the dirt in Maiden Claiming Company. We've got some numbers to bring you here with the number 3, No Choice, so we'll have apprentice Raylu Gutierrez aboard, and nearly no surprise looking at a near 80 starter sample and batting 25% is Kathleen O'Connell, who just can leg up a horse off works alone, and more importantly, spots them correctly, even though this horse is coming in from the farm.
Well, he doesn't leave me very much on the bone sometimes, folks. Number 3, No Choice, is coming in from the Alcalitz area, has not been working locally at all. That being said, this horse is also bred to be pretty fast and pretty precocious. I expect speed will be the weapon of choice here. The other facet to this race that fascinates me is you do have 5 firsters, and most of them have either been working well or going out for well-connectioned outfits. But the intriguing part is this isn't a maiden special. It's maiden 35. It makes the race completely confusing to me because so many of these newcomers look like they have ability, but they're being dropped in for 35 first out.
Yeah, no doubt. And you landed on the 4, Twisted Licorice, who's got David Fox, and I can tell you this horse had breezed a quarter mile for what it's worth at OBS June in 21-1.
I don't want him to go that fast. I think the 3 is going to have eyes on the lead here, so if I'm right, Juarez can sit off the flank. That'll be quite fine with me.
All right, and based right here at Gulfstream, of course, with trader David Fox. Again, we'll see who they bet. Tricky little leg, and you bought this race, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's just I have 3 pedigree circles on this race on the bottom side. The 5 horse is bred to go much farther than this and be on grass. But now that being said, Miguel Vasquez riding, I thought the price might be right there. So every horse in here I can make a case for.
All right, so the man bought the race. You got the all button there in use for the 3rd. Let's move on to the 4th. Here is the potential major stone cold single in this early pick 5. Would you agree? An Apostle ran a couple of times. They obviously paid an arm and a leg for this horse, just under $1 million last winter as a 2-year-old. And we'll go back to a race, in fact, 194 days ago for this colt by Medaglia d'Oro in the number 6 Apostle. You can watch him finish up. Did he factor in this race? No, but this strikes me as a horse who is not facing the kind of maidens that he caught over the wintertime.
He really ran well, because I got news for you, Jason, and I was wrong about this, but you have to consider the context, as context is king. He takes charge who would win this race. I really like this horse to be a major contender in big 3-year-old races. I mean, he won with his ears up that particular day. He hasn't panned out all that well, but at the time, this was a super strong maiden special.
Yeah, and it's funny because Slot, who was getting so close, burning a lot of money, but running in one live field after another, he just ran, I think, for 25, claiming up at Sarah. And no good for Pletcher. So ultimately, that field hasn't really panned out in hindsight, but to hold that against the 6 Apostle, it's kind of like an apples and manhole covers type situation. That's not fair.
And the other thing about it is, again, just for frame of reference, before this horse ever ran, Edgar Zayas and I were talking, and he told me I have my Florida Derby horse. So this horse has got some serious ability. Is he tightened for his best stuff? Probably not. Can he win this race anyway? I think so.
Yeah, if he's ready to go, he's going to win this afternoon. The question becomes who might run second. For you, it's the second-time starter by MC, who might be a good sire down the line, and the number 5, Not So Subtle, trying the dirt.
I'm fascinated. He debuted in a stake and didn't disgrace himself. I don't know that I've ever seen that, at least in the modern era. Usually the times where guys get high on horses and run them in a stake first time out, they get their heads ripped off. That was not the case with this horse. He split a field where Jim Montier won the race, so I don't know it was the toughest stake, but it was certainly way better than what he'll face today.
Yeah, we'll see how he does with Sammy Camacho. I've got the Curlin firster.
Dwoskin, first time.
I got a Dwoskin firster running here Saturday as well that I think is going to run very well.
I'll book it. Sounds good to me.
All right, I'm going to say a cold 6-2 to the cage here with Rise and Shine the second in this spot. Out of a good dam, who's up there in age, don't get me wrong, but need not be a real monster to make a big dent in this race. Even if Apostle wins by a lot, the rest of this field is kind of like a real grab bag of Florida-based maidens.
Well, and the one thing you can say about the two horses, that by barn standards, they paid a lot of money for this horse. $200,000 horse is not a Steve Dwoskin type animal. He gets his horses racing into shape, so this horse could lumber along for a slice. I would not think he would be a win threat, but never know.
Well, we'll never know, but we do know. Well, speaking absolutes here, my friend, we got a lot more of this Thursday edition of Gulfstream Today coming your way on the other side of this quick timeout.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
Welcome to my playground.
In action today on a fast and firm Thursday, August 23rd. Pete and Jason with you from our clubhouse studios, settling in second segment of this edition of Gulfstream Today. My friend, Rainbow Six begins in the fifth. We picked up about 10 G's, give or take, in the carryover kitty yesterday, and here's how I see this Rainbow Six ticket. To be fair, Pete, a major, major change. There's major changes, but the fifth race today may ultimately be an odds-on winning favorite from the outside, who is now my single.
You got some major problems, my friend, because if you get that single home, you're going to think a lot like me for the last 5 races, and that cannot be good.
Oh, well, I was like, all right, let me hear who I left off. But
no,
you and I, that we have...
You have some differing opinions, but there's a lot of winning tickets, both for the Pick 5 and the Rainbow Six, that are contained in each of our tickets. We can both win.
All right, pretty good sequence on tap this afternoon. In the 10th race, I've got some coverage. The 9th race, I'm using a couple. So Sublime is another potential single. You don't fully trust him.
I don't, but I had to single him, so I'm glad you didn't. You used Darastellis, right? That's that's the other one I would have used.
All right,
so.
Because the more I look at this race, even getting prepped for the show this morning, I was going, I don't know if Arastellis can beat So Sublime, but I'll try to make a case for Arastellis, and you will see his last race when he pulled a very taxing trip and was not a happy camper, running and gunning on the inside. 8th race, I've got 3 horses, including the 9, Baby I'm Perfect, who seems a little interesting to me today.
I got him.
All right, right in the mix.
No argument there.
Got to beat the 5, Frankie Apps, who's got some speed. 7th race had a couple of key defections, and ultimately what really makes the 7 tricky now is the fact that the 3 that I've got in the middle of the pack, Tenacity Zip out through the 8 Grand Malbec.
Oh, yeah, you got all the speed.
They all blast, these horses. I mean, they are run and gun types because Victor Barboza scratched what I thought was the best closer in the race, the number 4, Flying Liberty.
Well, I went to the wedding at 50 to 1. I'm going to the funeral. I hope I can get half that on a Scarapella. That may be one you missed.
Oof. I had to give you, just out of respect, a big yellow highlighter when we get up to the race on that Jamie Mejia horse that you liked last time at 50 to 1. That was a good call. You came close to winning. That would be the 4th pick for me in that race, if you will. But anyway, Dalenega off the claim here for Georgina Baxter. Freshened up. It's been about 80 days since we last saw this filly in action, and I almost think after scratches, assuming she breaks cleanly, she all but can't help it, being potential lone speed and loosey-goosey.
You think so? If you're right about that, then this is a foregone conclusion.
I think
that's
she's
the
faster
only
than
thing
the
I'm
4
worried
True
about.
Heiress. The pace figures that I use have her as the speed after scratches, because let's be honest, losing Mo Beautiful and Mercurial Miss.
That's all the speed out of there.
Speeds are gone.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is even if you're wrong, her post draw is going to let her do what she needs to do because she's going to be out wide. So if somebody wants to break ahead of her, she can flank them and kick, because she does have a kick. If you can get a horse that has a kick on the front end, it should be lights out. That's the problem unto itself with the 2 in this race, is she is dependent on pace, and with a short field, who knows where she'll land.
All right, she'll get Sammy Camacho, the number 2 Bright Venezuelan, and you might get a little, I know it's a different ball game altogether, 4-horse field, a better group, a richer group of fillies, but Bright Venezuelan, who's in the 5th today, has thrashed a number of horses who are being bet right now in today's first race. So something to keep tabs on, right?
I agree.
All right, let's move on to the 6th, my friend. Pete's late pick 5 coming up. You had an all button in the 3rd with your early pick 5. You hitting that all button again?
No, I'd like to, though. The horse in this sequence that's the key to the whole thing is the 9th race. We already talked about it a little bit in So Sublime. I didn't like this horse. I tried to beat this horse before scratches. Then Little Shackelford scratched, and that changed my opinion entirely, because I was going to try to get ahead of So Sublime. Now I think So Sublime not only is the fastest horse, but he's got the best tactical advantage in the field. I'm 2 deep in the 8th, Bonterra and Frankie Apps. I almost would have flipped that and singled Frankie Apps and used 3-5. I almost did that. 3 deep in the last, I'm just taking a stab with the 2-5-7. That's a good betting race. I love the 6 originally, who is now out. That was my original single in the pick 5. And then we're spreading the rest of the way, try to get a couple of price horses home.
All right, sounds good. And I do see you have, as part of the 3 inside fillies that you used in this upcoming 6th race, I feel as though, first and foremost, you got the Gilberto Zerpa trainer change. That needs to be stated and gotten out of the way. The 3 Danessa again, who you've got on top, and you and I will just take the exacta box. I think Gemstone Linda, assuming she can get away and maybe outside Italian Smile, is going to run well today.
I think so too, because she's chasing Coquiva Koa the last 2 races, so that's the reason why she's backed up so bad. You don't chase Coquiva Koa and live to tell about it. At least you don't if you're Gemstone Linda. My biggest concern and why she didn't go on top on my ticket is I think 6.5 is a bit of a reach for her, but if she is the inside speed, and more to the point, if the racetrack played like it did yesterday it was a very fast racetrack, and you wanted to be near the lead, that bodes well for the 1 in race 6.
And then Danessa, again, obviously, she is the trainer change, new face, the drop down. I mean, she has got quite a bit going on, all those intangibles that'll make her favorite.
She's kind of got to put up or shut up. I mean, this is the easiest field she's ever faced, and she hasn't had much of an excuse lately. The trainer change and the fact that she is dropping in class does make her one to worry about. I think the 1 and 3 do have some key separation on the rest of the field. I used the 2 Dreaming of Aka as a defensive move. Not because I was a huge fan of her last race, but because the horse who ran 2nd in that race, Milbra, did come back to win. So maybe I was being a little harsh on the quality of that group.
Well, I'll tell you, Milbra is a hard-hitting mare, and you're going to get a good price on the 2 Dreaming of Aka there, as that daughter of Tal Bacati looks for that 5th lifetime win. Back to the turf we go with a Thursday 7th, a field of 9 ready to rumble in this 3 and up $30,000 to $25,000 claimer. To me now, pre-race, the 2 biggest keys. First off, losing the 3 Striking Air and the 4 Flying Liberty. I think those are 2 very much defections that will be felt not only in terms of shorter odds on the main players, but you take out arguably 2 horses that had big chances from off the pace. The other sort of key nugget going into this race is what happens between the 6 Tenacity Zip, the 7 Gone Fishing, and the 8 Grand Malback.
Well, Tenacity Zip's the one that's the intriguing proposition of that pair or that trio for me, simply because he freaked last time out. He got a huge figure.
Here's the race. We'll check it out, actually.
Sounds good to me.
Take us through the replay, man.
Tenacity Zip was 3-1 that day and was just left alone. The race is over at this point. Everyone else is battling for minor awards. But the key part of this is the Tenacity Zip went very fast and 44 flat for a half mile, but finished up full of run, actually widened on the rest of the field in that final call to win in 55-4. The question is this a big-time win? Is this what Tenacity Zip wants to do now, or is this an aberration and we're going to see a different type of horse? And the reason I asked that question is he hadn't been on the turf in 5 starts prior to that.
No doubt.
Did he like the surface switch, or did something else go on? Either way, Tenacity Zip is the wild card here.
that race, though, to be fair, and he may ultimately run back to it. It does, and you got to look at the full picture, as you noted. It does stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
However, at least it's not like they're running him back for 16 or lower. At least you're getting a pretty confident bump up, or pretty much double.
I'd be pretty confident off that race.
No, he looked good. I mean, it looks good on paper. Visually, that was an awesome tour de force. Now, let's go to your Jaime Mejia horse, who, by the way, for Pete's honor, maybe you can see the yellow highlight there.
Probably not.
You brought, I know, as I put it up, I said that's probably not translating. However, you were all over this horse last time out. You predicted around 40 to 1. You got 50, and this horse ran just about too good to lose, but lost.
Yeah, did lose, but the cameraman Dennis and I were still very happy with the way that number 9, Escarapella, ran last time out. And I think this horse is going to run again today. There's absolutely nothing, in my opinion, that you can say bad about this horse. You've already set up that this horse, you need a closer in this race if the 6, 7, and 8 go at it. Well, what's wrong with the 9? The only 2 races he's run on this turf course at this distance, he came a closing winner and a closing second by a neck. You know he's in good form. He fired last time out against pretty good company. And Are You Talking to Me, who's going to run tomorrow?
Yep.
You're going to get a good price. You're well situated. I mean, what more do you need here? And more to the point, what can you say bad about Escarapella? I challenge you, sir.
I can't say anything bad about him, but the 50 to 1 last time out and taking a third of that here for a 4% barn is a little unsettling.
$20 mutual. I mean, if you found $20 on the ground, you'd pick it up.
I would, but he's got to show up and he's got to go 5/8. Even though he's run this distance successfully in the past, he's a player here. And you know what? His presence and the fact that you were so high on him and talked about it on this show last time out makes this race even more intriguing. I'll tell you, I was a little bummed losing Striking Air and Flying Liberty. Still a fun little race because we might see some fireworks early, melting things down.
And the other closer in the race is the 5, Big Possible. The only time he went 5/8 on this turf course, it was his only win. Don't ignore him for an underrated outfit.
Yeah, big drop in class. We'll see trainer Juan Avila coming up in the 9th race today with So Sublime, who's going to be a clear favorite, and obviously Pete's late pick 5 single in just a bit. But for the 8th, we get onto this group of 8, a 3 and up $40,000 to $30,000 maiden claimer. How much of a horse to beat is the number 5 Frankie Apps?
To me, a lot, because I just think he needed his last race. He just looked like a short racehorse to me, and he got dueled up by the eventual runner-up in Frenchman Street. Who knows how good the winner of that race was, Ercolano. God, did he make up a lot of ground. He closed about 8 lengths and 1/8 of a mile that day. So I just think Frankie Apps needed his last race. He's the controlling speed in here, and he just needs to take a step forward off of that last race to win here.
Respect him a ton. We've got a rematch brewing on the outside. It's funny, both the 9 Baby I'm Perfect and the 10 for the Gipper are coming off respective layoffs. One at the end of April. For the Gipper has not run since January 5th. But in the case of Baby I'm Perfect, you've got a first-time tagged horse who seemed to be taking almost baby steps forward in 3 races before this recent freshening. And the silver lining at what should be an okay price is trader David Kazan. I like backing trainers and horses that have trainers that are doing well. And in the case of David, he's 5 for 14 here at the meet. And even over the last 30 days, he's 3 for his last 9 at Gulfstream Park. He's put up some good numbers, and these are prices that he's been bringing home and horses of his that are running well. Going to try to keep the good party, the good times going with Miguel Vasquez.
Well, we have the same 4 horses in this race, and I think the 10 for the Gipper is going to need one. So for me, it's focusing on 5, 6, 9. I use the 5, 6 in my pick 5.
Yeah, no doubt. I found a stat. It gets back to you suggesting that for the Gipper, who has not run since January 5th, may need a race. And Armando de la Cerdas and Fuego picked up a couple wins here yesterday. He's 1 for his last 23, 6 months or greater coming off the layoff. So that really, after I saw that, I said, you know what, got to back off a bit.
Yep. I didn't like him anyway. That just makes me feel better.
Yeah, all right, no doubt. Let's move on to the 9th race this afternoon, my friend. And Armando, our leading trainer here at the meet, with plenty of racing to go, about 5 weeks before we head on over to Gulfstream Park West. Wow. Speaking of finalities, we do have the final dirt race on the card, a $12,500 3 and up claimer, and for Pete, very much the same 4. Now, we had a couple of scratches, which leaves us with a field of 5, so the fact that we're keying off the same super isn't really all that noteworthy.
No, but what is noteworthy is that this 3-horse is going to be 2 to 5 territory, and you're picking against, and I'm worried because I know what you're getting ready to say.
Well, I just don't fully trust So Sublime, and we will look at this horse's last race some 56 days ago. He was claimed away from trainer David Fox for 12.5, comes back, runs this race last time out for trainer Safi Joseph Jr. at the same 12.5 level. 7-horse field, obviously gapped out by good ways by the time they hit the top of the stretch. And what do you think of this horse going out? And I agree with you, underrated barn here with Juana Villa.
This horse ran his eyeballs out the last 2 times he's run. That's what I don't like. How much more efforts like this does he have in him? He's been run so well. Now, the good news is that he's been freshened up a little bit. I think he needed that, certainly from a confidence standpoint. The key question is he's beat Aristelis not 1 but 2 times in a row, and he's done it pretty easily. The question is, can Aristelis turn the tables on him? Tactically, I think it favors the 3, but recency-wise, it favors the 5.
Who's got some races, and he's very inconsistent, Aristelis. And the more I look at this race, So Sublime may ultimately prove a very likely short-priced winner. But here's the race, and I don't know if I'm going back to Aristelis because I liked them a lot last time out in that off-the-turf race.
Me too.
Yeah, I love
Sore
it.
subject.
I absolutely love this horse, and in hindsight, he didn't run all that well, but this is not the trip that he wants to pull in this race, or pull in general, blasting away from the inside.
Well, now, that I agree with what you just said, but I will say this. Don't blame Zayas. I understand what he was trying to do.
Me too.
This field was not that good. Aristelis is a grinded-out, one-pace style horse. Edgard probably figured, okay, I can get him into the race. I'll slowly pull away from these other horses who are one-pace. The track was deep and tiring. It just backfired on him because I think he actually got too much out of him early, and then by the time they went to the far turn, he was under pressure almost every step of the way.
I will never fault a rider for trying to do the right thing in their head and being aggressive, and in the end, it was just too much too early for Aristelis. And Edgard, I've got to think, if you asked him going into this race, or even right after he dismounted, rode this horse like he was the best horse in the race with confidence, and because I still think he was in the talent department the best horse. It didn't work out in the end. I'm going to give him one more chance here. I know it's a flimsy argument. He'll be a much bigger price than So Sublime.
That's not a flimsy argument anytime.
If you catch So Sublime on a slow descent, maybe Aristelis can just grind away, and he's not flashy, but just be in the right place at the right time.
No argument for me. I hope you're wrong for my pick 5 and my people who follow my picks, but no argument here.
All right, let's wrap things up. Race number 10, Field of 11, a scratch of a horse that I had fooled around with in my picks, the number 6, Glorious Freedom. We capped the day with a 3-and-up filly mare turf race, a 12.5 maiden claimer, and you and I both taking the 2 Venezuelan Spirit.
Well, you can go ahead because you probably are stronger opinionated on this horse than I am.
Good post, good race last time out. Perhaps the best is yet to come in a race where I just like this horse a little more than the 9, Tropical Gold, and the number 10, CC's Freedom, who is getting a trainer change today to David Fox. I am 210 here in the nightcap.
Well, my best bet of the day is scratched in this race. The 6, Glorious Freedom, I thought was a piece of candy cinch. She will not compete. I went for bombs underneath, and the 5, She's a Big Machine. She gets back to going long. Her races going long at Tampa weren't great, but they weren't that bad relative to what she needs to put up against today. I thought this race was wide open, so for me, the key part for the 2 Venezuelan Spirit is second start going 2 turns. She should appreciate that as she went through 2 turns for the first time last time.
As we say goodbye, I just realized we don't have a Thursday horse for horse, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe Coal Miner's Son. I get your taking the better of it in the price department. How about a little Coal Miner's Son against Dark as Midnight?
Oh, that's easy. You're going to let me back in it. I will say this, live TV, if you beat me on that, I'm never betting you head for head ever again.
All right, sounds good. Pressure's on for Pete. In fact, you'll get more of Mr. Aiello in just a couple of seconds. Scratches and changes are next. I'll see you before the first.
A passion for horses and a commitment to breed champions is the foundation of Hardacre Farm. Founded by Amy Tarrant, owner, breeder, and trainer, Hardacre Farm, based in Ocala, continues its tradition of success from the Breeders' Cup to Gulfstream Park. Hardacre Farm, from the breeding shed to the racetrack, in pursuit of producing the best.